What is up, jabronis? JJ back here with Holden talking week 13 in the NFL. Holden coming off a little 2-0 week last week, and I'll tell you, we've done that a lot more than the alternatives, so kind of looking forward to this week. And in case anybody's blind watching this show, Holden and I look absolutely fantastic today. I mean, we didn't even call each other up. I mean,
No.
if we did call each other up, I would have slicked my hair back like John Travolta, like he did. But I mean, look at us. I mean, the shirts match. We got a little Teen Wolf thing going on.
I tried to change my shirt, but JJ's like, no, we can pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, this is what dreams are made of. I mean, how often does this happen?
Not very much, JJ. Other thing, hair slicked back. I mean, when it's as long as I do right. Well, first of all, this is like the alfalfa back here. But when your hair is as long as mine is right now, I mean, it's amazing. Like, you got to put shit in it. I've had a buzz cut for 25 years.
You rocked the plaid last week. I tell you, I'm coming in heavy.
Let's do
it. Look at us. Look at us.
Great sale at Macy's. I got this for $13.99.
The boyfriend mug.
Yeah, $12.99. Very comfortable. Every bit as comfortable as the $65 ones. So I highly recommend it. Go get the club room.
Yeah, mine might have been less than $12.
Really? Where'd you get yours at? The dollar store?
I have no idea. Does it look like I got it? I mean, maybe. I don't remember.
It looks like a nice one. Here, if you're gonna show yours, this is me and my kid.
Okay.
Here, is there one where I'm sitting on my? Can we just get into the football part now?
Yeah, we can.
Let's do it. All right. So we went 2-0 again last week, huh?
Yeah, we've done that a lot more than the other options when you give out two picks.
What are the options?
Well, 1-1 or 0-2.
We're talking about like another show. All right, let's do this then. Let's get into this, buddy. Detroit and Chicago. Detroit, new head coach. They are 3-point dogs at Chicago. The total here is 45. At just about, you can get 44.5 if you actually like the over in this game. This is going to be ugly, isn't it, JJ? I remember this game. I think it was week 1. Like, Trubisky was the worst quarterback in the history of the world for 3 quarters, and then 2 of the cornerbacks went down for Detroit, and he just turned it on. Like, can we really expect that again this week?
Yeah, so I talked about this game on the Friday show, and I said this is probably the ugliest game on the whole slate overall.
Wow.
I mean, not in terms of like a blowout or whatever, but just back and forth. You got head coaching swaps for Detroit. Chicago has been a team that can't get out of their own way all season. But I dug deeper since, and I'll tell you what, this is it's actually going to be my best bet for the entire slate.
What?
Yeah. So Detroit first half, grabbing 1.5. I really like this spot. So it's a few things. So Chicago all year is actually like the 3rd or 4th worst team in points scored in the first halves of NFL games all year, and they're actually the 31st worst team scoring in the first quarter. So if you really wanted to get like silly, you can go Bears for the first quarter. I mean, Bears-Lions for the first quarter. The Lions are actually the 6th best team in the NFL scoring in the first quarter. And Matt Patricia leaving. So this team also, they played on Thanksgiving, so they get a few extra days to prep for this one. Matt Patricia gets fired, right? Maybe DeAndre Swift comes back today. I'm not sure what the injury report is there.
Yeah, he's okay, but he's not. I don't think he's going to get a full workload. As a matter of fact, let me go look back at this too, because there was some news last night before I went to bed. So I will get you that before the end of this.
Okay. But yeah, so I have a team, and even the first time these two played, it kind of played out that way as well. I get a team in Detroit that comes out with a lot of firepower early on in games. Now, granted, their defense isn't as good, okay, but they're playing an offense. Doubtful. Okay, so they're playing an offense that's not as good either. Now, look, Swift being out does sting a bit, but he's not one of those like super key players that I'm like, okay, this dude's worth a ton to the line. I do think either way that Detroit comes out as they've done all year with a little more offense than the Bears. And again, they average about 4.5 more points per game in the first halves of games. These teams have similar strength of schedules, so it's not like, oh, well, the Bears have had it, tougher. And why would I expect that to change? You get the head coach, the new motivation. Maybe they come out with a better script coming into this game, the first few drives. Either way, really like Detroit, grabbing 1.5. I don't want them on the money line. I want to get
2.5.
Well, depend. Yeah, where you get it, 1.5, 2.5. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I like this spot. You could bet money line if you really wanted to get ballsy. But I like the fact that if it ties, we win as well.
I really like that call. The Sunday pick shall be known as the plaid picks. Okay, Christopher, you know what? If we have another 2-0 week, very good.
Where are you seeing 2.5, Holden?
Beta MGM.
Normal VIG?
No, 115. What would you rather have? Well, 1.5 and 2.5. How big is the difference, really, at that point?
In the first half, it's really not much. I'm just trying to see another
first half. I'm just looking here. This is fun. You're just hanging out with us here. We're looking up the best bet for you.
All right, so I have on FanDuel +1 -110. So that's what I'm going to hit.
You don't want to do +2.5 -115?
Where'd you get 115?
Bet MGM.
You know what? Yeah, I guess we could ask the chat what number they have. I'd assume the consensus is going to be they have 1.5. So I'll post 1.5 at 110.
All right, I'm going to jump in at 2.5. Again, not that big of a deal, not that big of a difference, but who the hell knows? All right.
Yeah, Detroit first half ultimately my favorite.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope it pays off again. You're 9-3 on this show.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the blind squirrel finds some nuts, Holden. I mean, it's just kind of.
I don't know. What the hell am I then? What am I, 8-4?
I don't know. There's some weeks where you took off.
Huh?
There was some weeks where you took off. You were like, I don't love this, but here's two that I'm.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to screw people over. I'm not going to.
I respect it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna be a jabroni. All right, are we done with that game then?
We're done.
Let's never talk about it again until the end when you give your best bet.
Until the Bears are up 27.
Then it never happened. Cincinnati at Miami. Oh, here's a doozy. Why am I laying 10.5 with the Dolphins with Tua instead of Fitzpatrick? It's a rhetorical question. I'm not going to. 42.5 is the total, JJ.
So I'll tell you this, out of all the favorites today, out of all the favorites that are sub double digit, 9, 8, 10-ish, the Dolphins are my favorite of the bunch. I don't love them in the fact that I'm going to bet them, but they are my favorite of all of these teams that are sub double digit favorites at the current number. So Miami plays well last week, right? And Cincinnati comes back against the Giants after Daniel Jones gets hurt, but the offense looked borderline anemic all game long. And they actually even had a chance to win the game late. If they won that game late, don't you think maybe this line would be even less? But either way, so look, I get it. Tua hasn't been great by any means, but the defense has been, dare I say, ferocious. They've been forcing a ton of turnovers. Their special teams has been helping out as well. Cincinnati should be coughing the ball up here quite a bit, whether it's, obviously Allen making a bad decision or just call fumbles. This team is a team that outside of Joe Burrow hasn't been able to get out of their way all year. And look, I get it. It's a big number, but this is a number Miami hasn't been afraid to beat a team by anyway. And it's a decent spot for them as well. Look, I'd prefer Fitzpatrick in this spot as well. But needless to say, I would lean Miami in this spot primarily because I just can't trust Cincinnati at all. And I know you might see a big number here. They were competitive against the Giants, but the score is kind of misleading because, again, the Giants were kind of running away with it. And then Daniel Jones got hurt. They started going 3 and out every possession. But more or less, lean the Dolphins.
Leaning the Dolphins. Oh, good morning, everybody, too. I want to say hi to everybody. Adam UBS, Gerardo, the best pie eater, Soccer Thar. Faramaz Moinzayai. Grunge is back, and good morning. Do you know him, Faramaz?
I do not.
Hi, welcome to the show, buddy. Good to see you. Good to see new names. The PLR Rent Team. You heard of him?
Yeah. I like
Copeland, Run Pure Bets, John Schmidt, and DB Gnarly. So we've got Indianapolis at Houston. The really, really interesting thing here, JJ. Phil Rivers has been playing on a ruptured plantar fascia. And if you know what, that's at the bottom of your foot. And I can't imagine how damn painful that is. And he's actually playing pretty well, especially recently. Guy played a playoff game on a torn ACL. Anywho, 3 points favorites for the Colts on the road. The total here is 50.5. Kind of eyeing the total a little bit, JJ. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, slight lean over. I will say this about Phillip Rivers, though. I mean, the man has God on his side, Holden. I mean, does he really feel pain?
I don't know.
But yeah, ultimately, definitely lean the over in this spot. So I don't know if have you seen the numbers of Watson since the coaching change? They're pretty
Better.
They're pretty MVP-esque. I mean, they're pretty unreal. I mean, he's no longer a garbage time quarterback.
Yeah.
And I know that I was one of the people that said that, you have to expect Watson's numbers passing wise to drop without Hopkins this year. But woof, he has seen a turnaround. Now, I know Will Fuller, interested to see what he's out, right, Fuller? So I'm interested to see what this offense looks like without him today. But Watson has just been making good decisions, right? So you wouldn't expect that to change. And I always say this, the Colts are like a fake elite defense. I'm not saying not a good defense. They get too much praise. They've had a soft schedule, and it seems like when they play teams that have good offenses, they give up a lot of points. Houston's had a good offense. Now, Houston has no run game, so maybe the Colts make them superior, make them really one-dimensional here, driving this total down. I mean, driving their team total down.
Oh.
But the Colts will be able to score. Colts will definitely be able to score.
JSU likes Jonathan Taylor this week.
Yeah, I saw, him and Big T like Jonathan Taylor. Like, could you imagine?
Dude, listen, I love JSU. I use this core in DFS. I can't do it.
How many times do they need to watch a running back on first and goal smash into his offensive lineman, and then they bring in a running back 60 pounds less who just glides into the end zone?
Yeah, I learned my lesson. I'm not doing it.
Now, look, Taylor could go off just to stick it up my ass, but what would that – if Taylor went off today, Holden, what would that make me? 12-1 fading Jonathan Taylor?
Big deal.
But no, either way, I think Jonathan Taylor coming back brings this offense down a notch. But overall, I do lean the over. I think the total this is a number where the Colts are comfortable playing in. They've been known to shoot out if they need to, and Houston plays all their games at this number. So that would be my slight lean over 50.5.
Well, we already got your best bet. I mean, now we're just getting leans. That's all I know. Jacksonville, Minnesota. The Vikings laying 10 at home. The total is 51. Glennon, Cousins. I actually, the Minnesota team total was something I was looking at. I think it got up to like 30.5. Are they going to score that much? Like, I can see a path to where it absolutely happens. I'm not so sure. I just feel like this is going to be Kirk Cousins, giving it to Cook. They score maybe 3 touchdowns and they end up at 30. It's this one's tearing me, JJ. Give it to me. Give me this. Is it just a complete fade?
Well, it depends, right? Because this is a typical get right spot for Minnesota. If you remember last week, I had said that I didn't want any part of Minnesota. It's just their typical lay down spot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a closet Vikings fan. If there's one team I watch a lot of, it's them. This spot, though, is definitely a get right spot for this team. They run the ball really well. Now, the problem is with this number being at what it is, and Jacksonville's a team who's shown life late to come back and backdoor games, this is why I don't want to play this number this big. This could definitely be a game. If the number makes sense, you could tease it down. It's tough to imagine Minnesota coming out flat here. They need to win games at this point. And from a matchup perspective, they can't really draw up a better one. Jacksonville's awful versus the run. Minnesota does that, with Dalvin better than most teams. And look, Kirk Cousins, dude's looked great the last few weeks. I don't know if they've made some changes in the offense. They've realized that, they don't want to lean heavy on Dalvin because they want him healthy for playoffs. Either way, Kirk Cousins has looked decent the last few weeks. They get Thielen back today in that offense. Overall, I will say this, though, about this game. This is a super – what last week I said about the Colts-Titans? Was it Colts-Titans I said was a sneaky over spot?
Yeah.
This is a super same game, sneaky over. Yeah. And I say that because Jacksonville games have been shooting out. We know they give out points. We know they give up points. And look, this offense, first of all, Minnesota's defense is nothing like crazy anyway. And Jacksonville's shown some potency offensively. Like whether it was Glennon or Luton, whoever was starting for them, they've been able to move the football. And Robinson's been tremendous. I mean, who would have expected him to be this good this point in the year? Either way, do think this is a sneaky spot to shoot out. That would be my slight lean over.
Ooh, a slight lean, not heavy lean, just a slight lean over.
Yeah, we'll call it. I don't know if this is going to be my strongest lean. We still have a few other games to go, but this is a lean for sure.
All right, this is a dog shit game next for me. Vegas at the Jets. Anything with the Jets is tough to watch. 7 and a hook on the road. I don't like the hook either. with Vegas favored. The total here is 47. I mean, I know a lot of people thought that having Darnold back in was going to hurt this offense because Flacco wasn't in there. Listen, Flacco would throw a couple of deep balls a game. He's a statue, he'd get crushed. I still like Sam Darnold. He's going to be good somewhere else. He's the Tannehill. He's Tannehill part 2. Anyways, why am I betting this game? Like, I can't find an edge anywhere.
So, I'll tell you this. I do lean the Raiders.
Okay.
And so they looked absolutely gutless last week, right? I mean, we were watching the game live on the show. Like, literally every time I looked at the screen or that screen, the Falcons were in the red zone. I don't even know how it was possible. Like, every time I looked at the screen, the Falcons were within 10, 15 yards of the end zone. They score 40-something points. Look, you would expect the Raiders to come out a little better this time out. And I don't understand why the market seems to still respect Sam Darnold more than Joe Flacco. We said this last week. Like, Flacco looked better than Darnold's looked all year the last few weeks. Darnold comes out last week and looks lifeless with this offense. Could look a little better this week. The other angle to this one is Holden. And the Jets probably win a game this year, I guess, at some point. But, like, what has this team shown you that makes you think they want to win games? I mean, even the one or two games they had within their grasp of winning, they blew late. Look, I get it. Here's the only issue. Like, what the Jets do well is stop the run. The Raiders do really well is run the football with Jacobs. So maybe you argue for the under in the game. Both teams kind of struggle to put up points. His total is pretty high up at 47. But yeah, I mean, overall would be a slight lean under, but just an ugly game overall that I want to be part of. But I know Raiders will probably be popular in survivors. It's a close line. It's a 1:00 game for a West Coast team on the East Coast. But either way, Jets just haven't. I mean, we say this every week. Like, at some point, sure, we're going to be proven wrong, but they just have shown nothing that makes you think they want to win football games.
And I'm just here. Patrick Eichner is the PR guy with PointsBet. He sends emails out all the time. He goes, this line went from 7.5 to 9 and back to 7.5. 9 just got everybody nervous. Like 9 as opposed to 7.5 got everyone nervous.
I do know you can take 8.5 and 9 to 14.5 with a teaser.
All right.
I don't know. I mean, outside of that, no. I mean, there's not the games rarely ever land on 8 or 9. I mean, 9 is the lowest single digit number that games land on. So there you go.
Yes, Jacobs is out, John. Jacobs is out. You're right. It's Booker today. Firemaz, huh?
I said that's right. Devontae Booker.
Big deal. What do you think of Dalvin Cook over 107.5 yards? I don't bet props for running backs that high.
Yeah, I don't. There's just certain numbers that I'll never target. Like, I know Derrick Henry had his little run for a little while last year, and it was like auto bets for him over 110, 112. But how do you? I mean, anything could happen to make that not go old. Like, yeah. So I typically won't bet an over rushing or receiving that's like sub 90. But yeah, look, he's proven he can do it. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of game scripts where he doesn't get that because if they go up big, we probably see a lot more Madison.
Oh, Madison's out today.
Oh, really? Oh,
so Amir Abdullah and Mike Boone.
Oh, Mike Boone sucks.
Yeah, he does. He does. But again, I think 107 is a nice number. Here's my thoughts on the player prop market with the NFL. We still have an advantage. They haven't figured out the algorithm or whatever the hell it is. There's a lot of soft lines, but the advantage they have over us is the injury rate in the NFL. I mean,
yep,
guys are just getting hurt all the time. So that's where they got the advantage of us. Still 107.5 is a lot to me. You all right there, buddy? You need some meth? Let me see.
I'm struggling. I yawned and then I got my
you're dying over here, buddy. Yes, Jacobs is out. That is accurate, buddy. New Orleans, Atlanta. Saints, 3-point favorites at a much better Atlanta team. Their defense has been playing a lot better. Keg said this before the half. He's like, before maybe week 9, he's like, gosh, yeah, I think the Falcons will be playing a lot better football as the season goes on. And guess what? They're playing better. They are 3-point dogs at home with Julio Jones coming back. And I want to get your take on this one.
Yeah, so Julio coming back, is a big part to this offense. And whether he puts up statistics or not, he's a big part in the game plan and a big part in the way they get other people the football, especially downfield for Ryan. Look, gun on my head, I'd lean the Falcons. I don't like this spot in any scenario, though. I mean, I do think we're starting to get a bit of an overreaction to what we're seeing from the Saints, who, by the way, were absolutely gifted a win last week. And I thought about screen grabbing what I said, but I wasn't bullish enough on it. Like, it wasn't. I wish I grabbed my nuts and said, I am for sure. Now I can't a Kendall Hinton truther. Because if you remember last week, I said I was a Kendall Hinton truther, but I wish I said it with more pronounced, because then I thought it would have been funny on Twitter after his stat line was 1 for 9 for 9 yards with 8 sacks taken and 2 picks. However, I do think the Saints were gifted a win last week with that game. And then, the Falcons were kind of caught in a spot where they didn't know how to specifically prepare for Taysom. Now there's a little more tape on them. You'd figure that's advantage Falcons. I do have to assume the Falcons crowd the box today. One thing I will note about this game, this total at 46, when these two teams just played 3 weeks ago, even after the Taysom news, where he got added into the starter role, this total was 49.5. So, you're getting 3.5 points off the number that it was 2 weeks ago. Now, I get it. The Saints have looked better defensively, and of course, they play a lifeless offense in the Browns last week. But if you're trying to extract value from a number that existed a few weeks back, you're getting about 3.5 to 4 points of value if you want to bet the over in this game.
No West Coast, Jim. We do not go shopping together.
Holden wishes West Coast.
I wish I could go shopping with JJ. Could you imagine that? Just the two of us rolling through a mall together.
Me and you at Banana Republic.
Oh God, that would be my dream. Because all those girls that fold the laundry and stuff, they're just whores. It's so easy. Oh, trust me, I've dated quite a few.
I would take you to Banana Republic, and you would take me to one of the sex novelty shops.
Yeah, I'd do that. Absolutely.
Exactly.
That'd be fun. Okay. Yes, West Coast Jim, you got me there. So Cleveland at Tennessee. Derrick Henry going bananas. This is awesome. It's Henry season. SZN, as the kids like to say. Tennessee's a 4-point favorite at home. This kind of vacillated between 3.5 and 4. Big deal. The total is 53 here. So here's why I like Tennessee. And actually, you know what? I saw this at 5.5 earlier in the week.
6.
So,
6.
It went to 6, and now it's back down to 4.
It was 6 for a larger part of the early week.
I don't think that the Browns are going to be able to keep up with the Titans this week, and I think Mayfield's going to have to throw. And when he has to throw, he's horrible. I mean, in their losses this year, he's got 3 touchdown passes and 4 interceptions. He doesn't throw the ball a lot. I mean, what was that? Some guy had a Best Pie Eater had a semi-erect lean. That's kind of where I am with the Titans today.
Yeah. So it's funny. So on the Friday show, the line was still 5.5 then. I had said to them, if you asked me to make a line for this game, I would have made it 4, maybe even 3.5. It was surprising, but I can't. The Browns are one of those teams that I just cannot bet. I'll bet against them. I just refuse to bet on them. Look, I've lost too much money betting on Baker Mayfield and this ridiculous franchise over the last 5-6 years. They're just not a team I like to back in any stretch. However, there would have been value on it because, again, I found it odd. Okay, fine. So Tennessee wins 2 big games in a row, right? They beat the Ravens, they beat the Colts, and woof, what an overreaction to that line. With them opening at 6. Now, granted, Tennessee could roll here. Obviously, Baker could make a few mistakes, and Tennessee could wind up just running Henry all over. But what's interesting to me is, so Tennessee gets absolutely no pressure on the quarterback, and we say this every week, when do we want to target Baker? We want to target Baker when he's playing a team that's not going to get much pressure on the quarterback. And Tennessee, we continue to say, right, third down defense, historically bad. This team does not get off the field, and if Cleveland's able to give themselves a lot of third and shorts where they can get creative with the play calling, whether it's run, play action, whatever, it does make sense. And I mentioned this last week, Holden. Cleveland played 3 straight games where the weather was awful at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people forgot, a lot of Cleveland games shoot out before that bad weather. They're not going to be dealing with bad weather today. They weren't dealing with bad weather in Jacksonville. That game went over. This is probably another spot that makes sense to shoot out. The problem is with a total of 53, right? The game could technically shoot out and not get there. I do think this game goes over based on how Baker plays. And I know it might be oh, well, that's obvious. But the dude is a turnover waiting to happen. Like if he can just not turn the ball over while they're making, good strides with the football up and down the field. But either way, this is probably a game that churns out a lot of yards, probably some fun DFS potential in this one. But overall, yeah, I'm not going to have any spot I like in this game. Even in Tennessee at 4, I don't like them at 4 because again, that's what I figured the line would have been. But maybe you had some value with Cleveland at 6, but Cleveland's just not a team I like betting at all.
All right. Cleveland, screw them. Am I on Henry this week, West Coast Gem? Yes, I am. I am back on Henry. I love Henry. His rushing prop is 100.5. You know what, JJ? Something like in-game betting has completely changed my look on a lot of these rushing props. Like if Henry comes out today and gets off to a slow start and that prop drops to like 89, how do I not hammer that since he's going to just run over the Browns in the second half?
Exactly. They've proven that that's what they like. I mean, they've proven that they have no problem. And he's not even game script dependent. That's why they're so different in what they do with him.
He's not. Yeah, Derrick Henry. I just love Derrick Henry right now. Let's go to my favorite game of the week. Rams 3-point favorites, even money, by the way, on the road. Total is 48.5 at Arizona. So before I give you my pick here, because I got one on the sheet and I got one right now, how does this game play out in your eyes? Does Kyler Murray come back in a big way? He hasn't been running as much the last couple of weeks. The AC joint's bothering him. Jared Goff has had major success over Arizona in the past. Does that continue today?
The NFL has seemingly figured out Kyler Murray. Now, I don't know.
What?
I don't know. Give me a second. Let me land the plane. So the first 4 weeks of the season, about 3 to 4 weeks of the season, where Kyler Murray was going off, he was being blitzed about 12% of the time. Okay. Since like week 4, week 5, I don't know the exact number. He's been blitzed like 45% of the time. And these last few weeks, maybe he's playing hurt, maybe he's not, but he looks lost when he has to make quicker decisions. And Kingsbury hasn't adjusted to this. Now he plays a tremendous pass rush with the Rams. And will that magically correct itself in this game? I can't assume that. Ramsey's going to be on Hopkins. Maybe they take a few shots deep to Kirk and maybe somehow get this offense going. And Arizona has below average running backs. I mean, maybe if you're a fan of those, if Drake and what's his name, but look, it's tough for me. It's tough for me to lay the money with the Rams in this spot because it's really a buy high, more or less. The Rams have been playing good. I know they came off a bad game. With that said, that would be my lean, but it's not a spot I really want any part of. And look, Arizona could right the ship in this game, right? It's one of those spots where it's a division game. They've been playing poorly. And by the way, Holden, Arizona should be 0-4 in their last 4. Okay, they have the Hail Mary, which is why they've won one of their last 4 games. But they should be 0-4, and it's really on Murray. Murray has not looked good in any stretch. I think has he had 5 total carries in the last 2 games?
It's been very low.
So I do think now what's interesting with the Rams is I'm not sure how much they blitz, but they can definitely get pressure just rushing 4. And we say this every week, like the Rams are an elite defense. They just don't get beat consistently. The big question here is Jared Goff, right? Can he do enough to win the football game, or is he going to turn the ball over? I mean, he's had a lot of turnovers last few weeks, hasn't he? He's been like a whole new quarterback. Like he goes through stretches just like any other quarterback in the NFL. And a lot of people just think he's bad as it is. But he does show some good stretches of football. But right now he's also going through a bad stretch, which would make you maybe lean to not love the spot for the Rams. But, man, I mean, you figure the Rams do what they can to contain Murray, as the other teams have done. Then there's the other narrative of whenever a team plays Belichick, it just seems like Belichick is able to stop more things than other coaches. Maybe you can review that tape, see what the Patriots did against them to help McVay. 2 young offenses going at it. I would definitely lean McVay, who I definitely think sharper than Kingsbury.
Yeah, my play for this on the sheet is Cooper Kupp over 63.5 receiving yards. My play on the show is going to be over 5.5 receptions. Now the juice is up to like 125 on BetMGM. That's probably as far as I'd hit it. I'm seeing it at 135, 140. I don't love that, but anything Cooper Kupp today. Arizona struggles against the slot receiver. Kupp is plenty talented. For that matter, I threw in a prop on Woods too, on Woods receiving yards. but Cooper Kupp's going to be my best bet. I'll just throw the 5.5 receptions on this one. We'll keep the yards on the sheet, but I'm all about him today.
Yeah, makes sense.
What's that?
No, I said makes sense.
Yeah, I think he's going to be he's in a nice little spot here. Okay, Giants and Seattle. 47 is a total. Seattle 10.5, 11-point favorites at home. No Daniel Jones. I mean, I don't know if that helps or hurts the Giants. Want to get your thoughts on that. This looks like they want the Seahawks want to run the ball more, JJ. With Carson gone, and now Carson's back, and Carson is going to get more work this week. But Russell's so damn efficient that I feel like the passing game is going to work too. Like this Seattle offense, people are going to be afraid because they're running a little bit more. I think they're in for a big offensive day too. 4-touchdown day. Yeah,
so Seattle's another team, right? Where offensively they just seemingly have struggled the last few weeks. However, their defense has improved, right? And yes. This was a team that was on pace to be a historically bad defense, much like the Cowboys were earlier in the year, and they still are on pace. However, they're a lot healthier now, right? Adams is back, Shaquille Griffin's back, and they have a defensive lineman that came back last week or the week before. Either way, they looked really good versus Philly. Now, sure, you could argue some of it was on Philly, and Wentz hasn't looked good. They looked really good. And they also looked really good against the Cardinals, which 2 weeks in a row I can't continue to call it an anomaly. And to mention your point on Daniel Jones, I will tell you this: anytime your quarterback goes from one quarterback to Colt McCoy, you downgrade. Okay, it's just it's like a death, taxes, and you downgrade to when you move over to Colt McCoy. This dude was in his quote unquote prime 4 or 5 years ago, and he was awful then. I'll be honest, I don't know how he's actually still in the league, but it's impressive. It's impressive that he's found his way into an organization. And look, he's the backup to Daniel Jones, so I get it. It's not like it's saying much, but Daniel Jones, though, and maybe it's a Jason Garrett thing, but the offense has looked good for the Giants this year. Like, I know Daniel Jones has made a lot of mistakes, but like some of these play calls, like you see them, you're like, wow, these dudes were open. Like Daniel Jones just missed them. And look, Wayne Gallman, who I thought another guy was basically about to be ousted from the league, he's looked good too. At some point, we got to give credit to Jason Garrett and how he's calling plays with this offense, because they've looked formidable, and their defense looked decent as well, which has nothing to do with Garrett. But either way, Colt McCoy is not somebody I can fall in love with here. However, this is a big number, right, for a team in Seattle that's been struggling offensively. I would say, gun to my head, I'd lean the under, primarily because, you don't know how much the Giants are going to be able to score with McCoy or move the ball. And then the Seattle end, they've been very big play dependent. Like if they can't hit Metcalf or Lockett for big plays, their offense has kind of been moving slow. It would just be a slight lean. I don't love the spot in any way, but I can't, as much as I dislike Colt McCoy, he's probably not this much of a drop off with that this line indicates. I would figure with Daniel Jones, this line was probably going to be about 7. Now it's 11, and it might even go up to 11.5, 12. So is he 5 points worse than Daniel Jones? I don't know. Probably not. But either way, stay off spot for me there. Slight lean under.
Yeah, let's not find out how much worse he is than Daniel Jones. That's a fine point that you made. It's like, hey, is it? Let's not find out. Green Bay, 8.5-point favorite. This line has vacillated too. I think like 7. Was it up to 9.5? Back and forth. I think it's getting a little steamed toward. I think it went from 7.5 to 8.5 today, didn't it? Total here is 50. I got 49 at William Hill. I got 49.5 at DraftKings. I see 50 at one place. I mean, listen, Aaron Rodgers should have a field day today. I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm feeling good about this Packers offense. My question for you is, does Philadelphia have enough firepower to push this thing over 49?
Look, first of all, give you credit for dropping the word vacillated.
Thank you.
That's like a $35 word. I mean,
really?
I mean, how many shows do you go on where you hear the word vacillated?
It's a great point. Great point.
But this game, so Philly, it's like my kryptonite.
I hate them.
This is a spot, and I feel like I say this sometimes on this show. This is your typical spot where Philly plays well. And I'll say this. Philly is a team that, and I said this on Friday, the Eagles in their current state are a team where whenever you see a line that's more than 7 on a game for the Eagles, that means right away that the market is at a point where they don't trust Philly, because this is a team that really should never be more than a 7-point underdog against anybody from a talent on their team perspective. Okay. But when they're playing poorly, the market has to shift the lines for them. Okay. They've been playing poorly. They backdoor that ridiculous game against Seattle. But even before that, they've looked terrible. Wentz has looked terrible. But what I'm saying is the Packers here funnel defense in the Eagles, right? So you'd figure Rodgers probably has a good game here. I mean, like really good game. Not like obviously it's Rodgers a good game, but I mean like you would figure Rodgers has like one of his really good games here. They'll probably struggle to run the ball. But how could you not like what you saw from Philly's defense last week? I mean, they looked really good. Fletcher Cox was getting pressure. They were really getting pressure with 4. Now, granted, you take away a few big plays from DK Metcalf, which of course you cannot. But really, what did Seattle do on offense? Like they did nothing on offense. Now the Packers, and here's the problem I have with the Eagles in this spot. James Schwartz, okay, refuses to double cover receivers, okay? He has this like weird thing about him calling plays where he just prefers to have safeties over the top and not true weak double cover receivers. Devontae Adams, I mean, should be in for a game today because Slay's going to struggle with him. Schwartz is not going to give him help. And Rodgers just loves to look his way. You'd figure Adams just piles up numbers today. If they can at least somewhat contain Adams, you would assume Philly will be able to move the ball on offense. The Packers aren't like this crazy good defense. But look, what version of Wentz are we going to get? Are we going to get a version of Wentz where he builds confidence off his last drive he had last game? He just looks unconfident, right? Like he doesn't even – like you look at him, it's almost like some plays like he forgot how to play football. This dude was a borderline unanimous MVP in 2018. Now, granted, what's the big difference, right? The big difference is Philly's offensive line. No Lane Johnson, no Jason Peters. Wentz is, if you watch these plays, like he's dropping back, has like less than 2 or 3 seconds to get rid of the ball. And then he's got wide receivers that are 100 years old, like Alshon Jeffrey, who can't get separation. Jalen Reagor is a guy they should be targeting more, and they're not. Either way, this offense is in shambles, which would be why I wouldn't want to touch this game at all. But gun to my head, I just anytime I see an Eagles line over 7, that would be my lean. Because, again, this is not a team that should be more than a touchdown underdog against anybody in the NFL. But they've looked really bad, and I understand why the line is what it is. But I'd lean Philly.
You had a lot of guns to your head or something? You're always talking about this. Gun to your head. What about like a machete to your neck? Can we do that? An M80 up your ass.
That's a good point. What about, rat poison in a cup?
There you go. Rat poison in a cup. I kind of do like the M80 in your ass because that's really going to be like if the guy lights it, you're fucked. You're going to be in the hospital for a while. You'll never shit the same.
I got to start adding that to the stuff. Yeah.
Mix it up.
If I had an M80 up my ass, I'd bet Philly in this spot.
Right. You would. So that would be it. The gun would put you over, but the M80's fine.
Gun to my head would lean over. The machete up my ass would lean Philly.
There's a machete in your ass.
You gotta mix it up, Holden.
I know. That's why I told you got to mix it up. All right. Last game to get to. New England. That's how you spit it out. New England and the Chargers. Chargers 1.5 favorites at home against Cameron Newton. 47 is the total here. I'm trying to figure out a path to how they get to the over. And even though the Chargers defense can be a disaster, this New England offense is a mess. So I was looking at the total here. JJ, 47 points doesn't seem like it's that much. I actually lean under in this one as far as the total goes. I mean, how are we giving the Chargers points against anybody? I can't do it.
Do you know who the Chargers' 3 wins are against this year?
Good teams? I don't know. The AFC East.
The Bengals, Jaguars, and Jets are the 3. Are the 3 Chargers wins this year?
Given an M80 in my ass with a machete to my neck and a gun to my cock, I'd totally take the Chargers. No, that's horrible.
Yeah. So now here's the craziest part, right? There was like 6 of their losses. You could argue all should have been wins. From a numbers perspective, numbers-wise, the Chargers should win this game easily, okay? Numbers-wise. And here's some numbers for you. So the Chargers are actually third in the NFL in yards per game. Third, but 17th in points. This team cannot close out drives, okay? From a yards per play perspective, Herbert's been tremendous. He's basically a lock to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's been awesome, okay? But he can only erase so many of Anthony Lynn's mistakes. Here's the interesting narrative in this game, Holden. Best coach in the NFL versus the worst coach in the NFL, okay? If this is a close game late, sure, maybe you'd prefer having Herbert over Cam Newton. But I'd argue I'd rather have Belichick over Anthony Lynn if this is a close game late. Anthony Lynn, who's just proven he continues to lose games. Now, what's another interesting spot is that this is 1.5 and 2. I just couldn't find a match to tease this with. This is such a good spot to tease. The Patriots up to 7.5, 8. The Chargers have won one game all year by more than 6 points, and that was against the Jacksonville Jaguars, which they only won by 10. Here's the thing. There's just so many different scripts that this plays out where the Patriots still find their way within 7 here. Even if the Chargers go up 14, which, by the way, they've been up 17 in 3 or 4 games this year, lost them all. If they go up 17 in this game, why can't the Patriots come back? Every team the Chargers have gone up 17 against has come back against them. So look, and even the Jacksonville game that they won late, they weren't supposed to cover that game. There's just so much head scratching things with this Chargers team. But look, Cam Newton's been tough to trust too, right? I mean, he's been a mess. Overall, I think if you're going to bet this game, you tease it up through the 7 with the Pats and you just match it with another team, whichever one you want. But man, if you're betting the Chargers thinking they win this game, they could. But look at who they've beaten. That's their wins. Bengals, Jaguars, Jets. That's their wins.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Now they're playing the Patriots, best coach in the NFL. Anthony Lynn should be on the hot seat as it is, but he's somehow not.
Well, he's going to get fired after the season. I think that they've seen enough progress out of Herbert that they're just not going to axe him now. It's like Herbert continues to get better. That's the most important thing at this point for Lynn because he's gone after the season. You can't keep him around. You guys got any questions? Hit us up real quick. Just hit us up with questions because we got 5 minutes left. JJ, we got prize picks this week?
Yes, we do. So prize picks is an interesting week this week. So I'm seeing some numbers that are padded. Some numbers, I guess numbers are all over the place. I have some interesting spots I like, and I'm interested in your take on them. So Holden, I actually like DK Metcalf under his number. So his number is 18.9. And the main reason why I like it under, so for DK, they usually hang numbers of 16 and 17. He's just getting a lot of love now. Now he that Jim Schwartz conversation and he has the big game in prime time. And look, I don't want to say this offense goes back and forth with whether it's Lockett or him. It really depends. Metcalf's definitely separated himself as a better receiver and one of the best in the league. But 18.9 for me is just a spot where he's getting too much respect at that number. That's a number they typically will hang for a guy like Adams, and now they're padding Adams' number as well. But to me that number is too high. I'm happy to grab it under. So it's DK Metcalf under the 18.9, and I'm actually going to pair him with 2 quarterbacks. So I like Watson over 20.5. Now I know he's got no Will Fuller, but to me, what does that mean? It means he's probably going to be running the football more. Looking at spots downfield, he's probably going to be more adept to run the football, should be able to pile up more yards there. So his number is 20.5, and I like that over. And then look, Ryan Tannehill, 18.5. I played him a few weeks ago over, same number. I'm going to do it again, 18.5. I think a lot of people look to this team with Derrick Henry and his success. But I think they could over-leverage the play action today to take shots downfield, which they've been doing anyway. It's just a light number for Tannehill, who is no stranger to throwing 2 touchdown passes, which is your 8 points, and 250 yards, which is another 10. And he's always the occasional guy to run for another 10 or 11. So those are the 3 I like. I like Metcalf under his 18.9. I like Watson over 20.5. And I like Tannehill over 18.5. My 2 favorites, though, are Watson and Metcalf. Watson over the 20.5. Watson over the 20.5 and Metcalf under the 18.9.
That's PPR?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to hold your breath with Metcalf, though. Guy has a touchdown or 100 yards in, 11 of 12 games, but we don't care about that as much. He has had a couple clunkers, this week's matchup. I mean, it doesn't That's a tough one for me.
I think it's where Seattle really tries to run the football more.
Yeah. Okay.
And if they look, here's the thing, Metcalf, you're right. It could be 180-yard pass and done.
That's what you're banking on. If you're going over.
I do think we're not going to get that today, but of course it could happen.
Christopher wants to know, you like the Seahawks game over?
I actually lean the other side.
Do you like the Rams versus Cards over 45.5?
My lean there would be under, primarily because I think that, I mean, here's the thing. You could argue there's probably more value on the over because now the line's over adjusted to the Rams defense and how bad the Cardinals have been on offense. But overall, tough spot. I can't even say I lean the under because I really don't. I don't really like that total.
Ram, that's a fascinating one right there. Saints or Atlanta? Kirk wants to know. He's late.
I think what we say? We lean lean Falcons, not by much though.
Falcons.
Yeah, slightly.
I actually placed a bet on them earlier in the week to cover this. I think it was 3.5. Did it get up to? It was either 3 or 3.5. I don't remember. So I got a little on Atlanta this week. Oni Cage has a small penis and he's very proud. That's fine. I mean, I completely
that makes 3 of us, right, Holden?
2 of you.
I
listen, I got to be honest with you. There's really average. I have reached average. That's about it, I think, right? We got anything else? We're done.
Yeah, no, we're all good. Do I guys any buy to play hard? JJ need help.
Do I guys like any? What does that mean? Anybody to play hard? Like,
I don't know. It's hard to decipher. But look, guys, thanks for hanging out with us today. Holden, where can they catch you? Obviously at Holden Radio on Twitter.
Oh, Kirk Gray.
And you're doing a DFS show, right? Right next?
Yeah, I'm going over. Me and JSU. If you play DFS, make sure you get over there. Every week, this guy, all he does. Oh, this was the other thing. PointsBet had Aaron Rodgers at 20.5. This is an unofficial show play. I bet it over 20.5. Usually I take JSU's conviction play or his big play, and I will bet the over, and it usually works. That's all I'm saying.
Hopefully you're safe there, G-Sauce. And Holden, I know my bet was Detroit first half plus the 1.5. What was yours? Best bet.
Cup over 5.5 receptions. The one on the sheet, 63.5 yards. I go back with them. I go back to back, and I actually, if you can find Woods yards around 62.5, 63.5, I just have everything for those Rams pass catchers. Those 2 guys, I love them. Love them today. And yeah, again, guys, I gave you some more Prize Picks plays. Head over there, promo code PURE, sign up, free $100 if you deposit $100. So again, free money for over there. And I give out picks daily for Prize Picks. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. We gave you our best bets. As always, gamble responsibly, and we'll be back for the live show in a few hours. So I'll catch you all then. Stay safe, folks.